Before power, there is perception. Before perception, there is intelligence. The world isn't run by the loud. It's run by the informed. By those who notice the twitch in a rival's smile, the silence after a promise, the patterns beneath the noise. Most people fight wars in public. The few who win fight them in secret. They don't raise their voices. They raise their awareness. Because in the modern arena, control doesn't come from muscle. It comes from memory, from what you collect quietly while pretending not to care, from what you sense long before others see. This is the training ground of the unseen strategist, the listener, the observer, the silent manipulator who trades presence for positioning and emotion for advantage. You don't conquer by force anymore. You conquer by foresight, by information, by invisibility. These are not rules for living. They're weapons for survival. Learn them, and you'll see how the powerful never fight fair. They just fight first. So before we begin, subscribe. Not to support a channel, but to build your strategy muscle, the mental discipline to detect, predict, and outthink every move before it's made. And in the comments, write this: I train in silence. I strike in clarity. Because the age of raw strength is over. The era of strategic minds has begun. Law 1. Pose as a friend. Work as a spy. Knowledge is preemptive power. Those who know first strike last. Wars, negotiations, relationships, all collapse without intelligence. You cannot win what you cannot read. Ask through laughter. Collect through silence. You assume people only tell you what they should. You assume friendship is neutral ground. But every smile hides a motive. Every conversation is a transaction of power. While you speak, they observe. While you reveal, they record. In every circle, someone listens quietly and trades what they learn through loyalty disguised as concern. The one who knows more rules silently. Machiavelli understood this truth centuries ago. He warned that a prince who governs blindly invites conspiracies to grow in his shadow. But the prince who sees everything, through spies, informants, and whispers, never needs to raise his sword. Intelligence, he wrote, is the backbone of safe rule. Because ignorance isn't innocence, it's vulnerability. And the most dangerous spy isn't the one in disguise, it's the friend with good intentions. Today, espionage wears suits, smiles, and Wi-Fi. Every dinner, every group chat, every message thread is a battlefield of information. A CEO doesn't need to hack a rival's servers. He only needs lunch with the rival's ex-employee. A politician doesn't need wiretaps. He watches the accidental leaks and the nervous hands at press events. Even in relationships, people gather data through affection, curiosity, and emotional testing. Each question a quiet extraction. The modern spy doesn't hide in shadows. He hides in sincerity. In corporate life, this law separates the informed from the expendable. The manager who listens more than he speaks knows what others want before they ask. He senses alliances forming, ambitions shifting, fears spreading, and stays 3 moves ahead. Meanwhile, the open, talkative one, the friendly soul who shares everything, finds his own ideas repeated back to him without his name attached. The world rewards the observer, not the oversharer. When Warren Buffett meets with CEOs, he spends most of the meeting listening, asking calm, simple questions not to impress, but to expose. When journalists interview politicians, it's the ones who let silence stretch who get the confessions. Because people hate silence and fill it with the truth. Even in your social circle, the one who listens more, speaks less, always knows everything about everyone, and reveals nothing about himself. That isn't detachment, it's discipline. So, How do you use this law consciously? Plant questions that reveal priorities. Ask about the future, not the past. What's your next big goal? What's your biggest challenge right now? They'll hand you their strategy wrapped as small talk. Build a network of quiet observers. The receptionist hears more than the boardroom. The assistant knows who's nervous. The server remembers who overtipped. Every empire runs on whispers. Mirror their words. They'll speak more. People love their own language reflected back. They mistake it for understanding. It isn't empathy, it's surveillance. Turn casual friendship into an intelligence pipeline. Give warmth, but not your mind. Listen deeply. Filter your response. Appear engaged. Stay detached. Because once you know what they won't say in public, you own their silence. When Elon Musk negotiated early SpaceX partnerships, he posed as the learner, asking endless questions, appearing naive. They felt superior and gave him their secrets for free. When Oprah Winfrey interviews guests, her warmth disarms them. They forget the cameras and reveal truths they've hidden for years. That's not chance. That's emotional espionage. Even in business networking, the one who speaks least leaves with the most, because people mistake listeners for allies and tell them everything they shouldn't. Feign warmth. Harvest truth. The sharpest blade is the one they never see coming. Because in the modern world, the real spy doesn't wear disguises. He wears sincerity. And while others talk to be remembered, you listen to rule quietly.
Hey guys, we're Strategy, based in Abu Dhabi. We use AI tools to make these concepts come to life, but it's our amazing team who goes deep, breaking down powerful philosophical ideas and showing how they really apply in everyday life. We hope you enjoyed today's content.
Law 2. Exterminate the enemy. Wipe the slate clean. Leave no root. Half measures keep you alive for a moment and dead for a lifetime. You celebrate a quiet surrender and call it victory. Pathetic. Silence is not surrender. Half victories breed revenants. The rival you wound but do not crush learns fast. He studies your methods. He goes patient. He returns sharper, angrier, deadlier. The ember you spare becomes the inferno that roasts your peace. Think of mercy as adolescent indulgence. You spare the fallen because pity feels noble. You imagine gratitude, alliances, enlightened reciprocity. Hate that thought. Mercy in the game of power is counterfeit currency. History is written in second chances turned into second attacks. The CEO you forgave after a hostile takeover? He's now stealing your clients. The partner you let walk away quietly? She's pitching your investors with a smile. Mercy buys time, not loyalty. And that time is spent building your replacement. Half a defeat is a classroom for revenge. The rival you weaken becomes your student in vengeance. The loser you leave with resources becomes the architect of your ruin. Do not confuse temporary calm with permanent quiescence. Remove the seed, remove the gardener. Imagine a buyer who lets a founder keep a satellite division. 2 years later, the founder relaunches with the same team and clients, and the buyout cash in his pocket. The buyer called it mercy. It was negligence. Survival in ruthless markets demands closure, not sentiment. Machiavelli was blunt because sentiment is deadly. A prince who tolerates a wounded enemy invites conspiracies. Today's organizations obey the same rule. Leave a threat breathing, and it will organize. Leave influence intact, and internal enemies will regroup. A pause is not peace. Make defeat final. Look to the real lessons. Apple pushed Jobs out in 1985, thought the danger ended. 12 years later, he returned and rebuilt. Blockbuster ignored a tiny rival. Netflix gutted an empire. These weren't flukes. They were the fruit of half measures. Finish the job surgically, decisively. Identify every asset your rival controls: customers, contracts, channels, reputation. Strip them away. If it's a business threat, sever supply lines, distribution, credit, and market access. If political, choke off funding and networks. If internal, remove influence, not just title. Victory must read as an ending, not a pause in the narrative. Make the defeat public and legally binding. Use contracts, injunctions, settlements that bind hands. Close accounts. Publish the record. Let the archives show blunt finality. When allies survey the consequences, they make rational bets, peace or ruin. When defeat is decisive, others pick peace. Disdain sentimental theater. If public ruin feels harsh, package it as law, policy, or procedure so the world accepts the finality. Let paperwork and process turn cruelty into inevitability. Publish proof of termination. Contracts severed, accounts frozen, reputations neutralized. And let onlookers tally the cost of hope. Mastering this law demands internal mastery. Self-discipline is the blade that makes a defeat irreversible. Control hesitation. Kill doubt. Train your mind to see an enemy as a vector of future harm and act accordingly. Calm removes drama. Precision removes comeback. The stronger your inner steel, the cleaner your external victory. Restraint here is not compassion, it's craft. Power is personal and social. Dominate yourself first and you will dominate their world. The ruthlessness you cultivate inwardly becomes the leverage that bends others. When your will is unshakable, your enemies learn that resurrection is impossible. Influence follows finality. Fear follows certainty. Half a victory births full revenge. If you leave a root, the tree will return. When a rival is down, do not build them a staircase. Remove the stairs entirely. Finish it, or spend your life fighting the ghosts you spared. Law 3. Use absence to increase respect and honor. Scarcity raises value. Overexposure cheapens even genius. Disappear to be desired. You give too much of yourself. Too often, too soon, too easily. You are always present, always replying, always available. You show up in every room, every conversation, every feed until people stop noticing. Your brilliance becomes wallpaper. Your voice becomes background noise. The world stops valuing what it cannot lose. That is how power fades, not through failure, but through familiarity. Look around. The same rule governs everything of value. Diamonds are precious because they're rare. A limited edition watch sells for 10 times its worth because there aren't enough. A rare concert ticket becomes priceless not because of the artist's voice, but because of scarcity. In human dynamics, the same logic applies. The one who is always seen becomes invisible. The one who withdraws becomes magnetic. Imagine a manager who's always at everyone's desk, giving advice, offering feedback, attending every meeting. At first, people appreciate the involvement, but soon it becomes noise, predictable, expected, ignorable. Now, imagine a different leader, quiet, present only when it matters. When she speaks, people listen. Her time feels weighty because it's not freely given. Absence turns her presence into an event. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He warned princes not to appear too often before the people, lest their image lose its majesty. A ruler who is everywhere becomes ordinary. A ruler who appears rarely becomes legendary. Rarity forces remembrance. Absence creates hunger. When the king withdraws, the court whispers his name. When he lingers too long, they count his flaws. Modern life proves the same law in sharper detail. Think of Steve Jobs. He didn't appear at every Apple event, but when he did, the world stopped. The black turtleneck wasn't fashion. it was ritual. His presence was designed scarcity. Or think of Rihanna. She vanished from music for years, and her return became a global event. Every silence built anticipation, every appearance a spectacle. Meanwhile, the influencer who posts every hour, who never disappears from your feed, at first you notice, then you scroll past. Their power decays under the weight of their own presence. Scarcity is the most underrated form of strategy. It's not just about vanishing, it's about withdrawal with purpose. A brand that sells out in minutes becomes cult-worthy. A CEO who rarely gives interviews makes headlines when they finally speak. Even in relationships, distance resets emotional gravity. The one who always calls becomes predictable. The one who withdraws slightly becomes fascinating again. So, use absence as a weapon. Withdraw occasionally and do it deliberately. Let curiosity become your advocate. Leave rooms while your name is still being spoken. Step back while they still crave more. Make your reappearances meaningful, timed, dramatic, disproportionate. Each return should feel like a revelation, not a routine. Reserve access as a privilege, not a right. If everyone can reach you, no one values you. If your time is easily taken, your presence loses price. A strategist knows that silence isn't retreat, it's repositioning. You disappear not to hide, but to heighten demand. When Beyoncé drops an album unannounced, it shakes the world because she mastered absence. When Warren Buffett speaks once a year at his shareholder meeting, the financial world listens like it's gospel. In every field, the rare become the revered. To be indispensable, make yourself infrequent. The world only chases what it might lose. Scarcity is a silent tax, one that multiplies your worth every time you step away. Disappear wisely and watch how the world learns to wait for your return. Law 4. Paralyze them with uncertainty. Be a storm, unannounced, unavoidable, unforgettable. Predictability is cowardice in a suit of routine. When you move like a clock, your enemies learn the ticks. They map your patience. They measure your tone. They time your downfall to the minute. Habit makes you legible. Legibility hands rivals the blueprint to your undoing. Unpredictability breaks their models. Confidence collapses into hesitation. Hesitation is where you take control. Fear is not cruelty for its own sake. It is friction. It slows them. It scatters alliances. It buys you the time to strike first. Your habits betray you. You reply to the same email at the same hour. You open meetings with the same line. You walk into rooms at the same pace, with the same calm smile. You call it professionalism. They call it predictability. A negotiator who always starts soft teaches others how to squeeze. A leader who always forgives teaches others when to cross the line. Predictability is comfort, and comfort is exposure. Machiavelli never played predictable. Mercy one day, severity the next. Praise at dawn, purge by dusk. He used temperament as leverage when people cannot forecast your reaction. They hesitate to act. They waste energy reading you instead of resisting you. That hesitation is power. This law rules every arena. In business, alternate cuts with surprise investment. When rivals brace for austerity, hire instead. Steal their talent and their sleep. In negotiation, refuse 2 offers and then make one final, irresistible. The counterpart freezes. They stop planning. They comply. In politics, speak peace on camera, restructure power behind closed doors. By the time opponents realize, ground has already shifted. In leadership, always available breeds entitlement. Disappear. Return decisive. Performance follows fear of absence. Practice unpredictability without inviting chaos. Change your rhythm. Read reports on different days. Shift meeting times. Reward initiative 1 month, punish complacency the next. Let patterns die before they form. A vendor who never knows when you'll audit stays honest. Use reversals. When everyone braces for restraint, be bold. When they expect boldness, go silent. Each reversal resets the field. Make modeling you expensive. Change tone, change counsel, change method. Do not become a template. Micro moves sharpen the effect. Cut committees. Form small rotating councils. Access must be re-earned. Send a terse line today, a long reflection tomorrow. Keep them reading. Announce surprise bonuses. Watch culture shift overnight. Open opportunities briefly, then close them forever. Scarcity forces action. When pressured to concede, pause. Step away. Return a day later with a fresh, unpredicted offer. Confusion becomes currency, a warning. Unpredictability is a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. Used blindly, it breeds paranoia and corrodes from within. Destabilize outsiders, never your core. Your inner circle must live by principles, not puzzles. Give them clarity so loyalty survives. Let only the outside world drown in question marks. Unpredictability requires inner mastery. Without control, volatility is noise. Train restraint, delay reaction, decide in silence. The discipline to withhold patterns is the blade that cuts deepest. The calmer your will, the sharper your surprises. Control your temperament and you control perception. Control perception and you bend behavior. Dominate yourself first, then let uncertainty dominate them. When your resolve is unshakable, your volatility becomes strategy. Their paralysis becomes your power. Be the storm they cannot schedule around. Be the silence before the thunder. And when they finally move, let it already be too late.
Thanks for spending time with us. If this sparked a new way of thinking, hit like and subscribe to keep the ideas flowing. And don't forget, check the description for the links to the original books and resources we used today. We'll see you in the next one.